What is going on, guys? It's your boy Crispy, aka SS Sniper Wolf, coming at you with a kind of different video just because I didn't have anything planned for today. I just realized I'm gonna come at you with Crispy Story Time, Crispy Time, or Story Time Crispy for Papa Crispy. I'm gonna tell the story of my brief time that I worked at the granddaddy of them all, Gamestop. Just kind of give you a little overview of my time there and a little small stuff that you guys might not know about, or maybe you do, but I'm just gonna refresh your memory. Anyways, let's get right into this Black Ops 3 gameplay. Ooh. So how to sum up my time at GameStop? Man, it wasn't horrible to me. It wasn't the worst job I've ever had, but was it a stressful job? Hell yes. So I'm gonna start off the story with basically how I got hired. This will kind of help you get hired if you actually do want a job there that bad. Write a cover letter. A cover letter is just a small, kind of like a resume, but just a letter saying why you should get the job. And I wrote one of those, just kind of saying, you know, I know about games and all that BS and why I should get hired. You got to sell yourself, man. You got to sell yourself, not on the corner sell yourself. I'm not advertising for that, but sell yourself as an employer. Now, with any job, I think it's a smart thing that every time you turn in your application, even if they don't call you, it's a good thing to call them back within 2 to 3 days. If you don't hear anything, call them back and just say, hey, just checking on the application, you know, want to see how that whole process is going. I called them on the phone, and it was the manager who picked up, and she read my application right there on the phone, and she said, hey, you want to come for an interview tomorrow? I was like, hell yeah. Now, I've been applying at GameStop since I was able to work, which was 16 years old. And I was really super excited about it because I was finally getting an interview. But I found out while I was working there that it turns out you gotta be 18 to work at GameStop. I didn't even know that. So that explains why I didn't get hired those other times. But anyway, yeah, I got the interview, and so I was like really excited for it. I dressed all super nice for my interview like I always do, which is another key to getting hired anywhere. Dress nice. Even if you're freaking applying to clean stuff, dress nice. It'll get you freaking hired. I walked into the store, and she was right there at the desk, so she took me to the back room, which I've never been to my whole life. And basically all that's back there is, can't even tell you how many consoles and games are back there. There's so much crap back there, yo. And no desks, no nothing. There was 2 fold-out chairs that she pulled out, and she gave me my interview. Basic questions, you know, why do you want to work here? Asking if you're comfortable with talking to people and selling stuff, and just kind of scenario questions like, if there's a kid who's not old enough to buy a rated M game, you know, what do you do? Stupid things like that. But the interview went legit as good as it could have ever gotten. That interview was the best interview I've ever had, ever. How do I know that it went so good? Well, GameStop is a 2-interview job. You need to have 2 interviews to get hired. And at the end of the interview, she told me that, and she said, honestly, you're going to get another interview. She's like, honestly, 100% you're going to get another interview. And I was so excited for that. And that's it. We shook hands, and then we walked out of the room. But we walked out of the room, and her assistant manager is helping someone else. And she looked at me and she said, you know what? She said, you know what? And then she called over her assistant manager and said, hey, can you give him a second interview right now? And in my head, I was like, in my head, I was like, what am I going to eat for lunch? And I was just totally like caught off guard. And the guy was like, yeah, sure. And she gave him the clipboard, and he took me to the back. And I was just standing there with my sausage in my hand, and I was just totally, I didn't know what to say. I was excited at one point, but at the same time I was really nervous because I was like, okay, so this means this interview, you know, says if I get the job or not. So super nervous. But I said, you know what, let's do this. I go in there with like a freaking winner attitude. Another tip on how to get hired anywhere, dude, is just totally having confidence. Total like but showing that you have confidence by like just the way you talk. You know, if you're smiling, basically the way I'm talking right now. I'm talking very confident and very loud, so that they can hear me. You don't whisper. You don't do none of that crap. But yeah, man, I showed my confidence to the dude. His questions were almost like personal questions. He asked me, "Oh, you're going to school. What are you going to school for?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm getting my digital arts degree to be a graphic designer." And he was like, "Oh, I'm going to school too." He said, "Oh, I'm going to school too to design games." And I started that conversation with him. I was like, "Dude, that's so cool," and stuff like that. And he asked why you want the job, and I just explained how much I was into video games. He's like, "Honestly, dude, I feel the same way." Honestly, maybe it was just the people I had to interview me, but for the most part, I think I just did amazing at those interviews. And we just had great conversations, man. And he told me that it went really well, and he said that they would call me back in a couple of days. But they called me in a couple of days. They said, "Hey, we'd like to hire you," and I was super freaking stoked, man. I was so happy. I was like, "Dude, I got the coolest job in the world, this and that." Little did I know what I was in for. But I was at that moment, I was just super excited, and I couldn't wait to work. Now, what I didn't know, and what a lot of people might not know, is that GameStop, man, unless you've been there for over a year and you are a full-time worker, you don't get any hours, man. They didn't schedule me for another 2 weeks. And I was kind of down on myself, but I was like, you know what? I have a cool job, this and that. I was like, cool. And I kind of dealt with it. But, you know, I kind of realized, I was like, yo, these weeks are going by and I don't have any money. I'm going broke right now off of my last job. And so I was kind of disappointed about that. But I was like, you know what? Maybe it'll all be worth it. Maybe they'll give me more hours soon. Well, in the month and a half, in the 2 months that I worked there, that never happened. When I asked my manager about the problem, she basically told me a lot of people here have 2 jobs and you might want to look into that. And in my head, I'm like, I'm already a kid with 1 job and goes to school and is trying to deal with getting this dream out of the way, this YouTube dream. I was like, I do not have time to have another job. I didn't tell her that out loud, but that's just what I was thinking in my head. And so I was like, whatever. I was like, I'll figure it out. Maybe, again, I put faith that they were going to give me more hours. Didn't happen. Now, another thing that kind of ticked me off about my job there is literally every single shift I worked there was with the manager. And at GameStop, there's only like 2 or 3 people working at a time. For the most part, it's only 2 people working. So it was me and my manager working together. That's it. That's the only one in the store. So there's no one else who could put more pressure on me and who could put more stress besides the manager. So yeah, man, while I was working the shifts, I would have the manager literally right next to me telling me what I'm doing wrong while I'm still doing it. Like, she wouldn't wait until I'm done with the customer to tell me. She'll tell me right then and there, you're doing this wrong, like while I'm in mid-conversation, and basically made me look like a dumbass to other people. While I was doing a transaction, she would not do any work. She would just legit look at me like a freaking hawk. She would watch me like a hawk, and I felt her eyes on me, like just watching me the whole time. And yes, that might stress me out a little bit. That might put a little pressure on me. Sorry, sue me. Now, speaking of making me look like a dumbass, every time you would ask her a question like, hey, where's the keys to unlock the rack for the Xbox controllers? I would ask her things like that, and she would answer me like I've been working there for years and I don't know this. She'd be like, it's right here, Chris, right here by the safe. And I'm like, okay, what am I gonna say? She's my boss. I can't smart mouth her. I can't do any of that. And so I was like, I was like, okay, thank you. And then she would walk away to the back and I'd be like, that bitch. But you can't like do anything stupid because in the back, when she's in the back, there's cameras and there's a screen. So she'll see me. Yeah, there's like a security monitor in the back that's watching nonstop. So even if the manager's in the back, she could see fucking everything. Now a lot of things that happen during my shifts is me closing the store. I closed a lot of the times. Most of my shifts I did. So it would be me and my manager closing the store. Now my manager's only job was to count the money, whereas my job was to clean the whole store, throw out the garbage, make sure all of the inventory for the next day was in stock, make sure all the games are in order. I had all those tasks, and while I'm doing literally all of those, she'd tell me, you know, you're running a little behind. I think you're running a little behind, so you might want to pick it up. And in my mind, I'm thinking, she's done with her task. Why don't you just help me if I'm running so behind? But I don't know. I guess because she's manager, she's obligated not to help me. But like I said, she's my manager. I can't let the small shit bother me. So I pushed through it, this and that, and then literally, like, she was just a different person. My manager had such a two-faced personality. When, like, during work, I mean, it's common sense, I guess, that she would have it, but during work and stuff like that, like, she would act like a bitch. I don't know why she was so mean to me. And then literally after work and before work, she was so nice to me, and we would talk about cool stuff. So I never understood things like that. Now, something I found out during my time there was that basically GameStop depends on pre-owned sales. They don't make pretty much any money. They make like $10 off of a new copy of the game, as opposed to when pre-owned they get the whole thing. So I guess a lot of people aren't buying a lot of new things, and so I guess people aren't buying a lot of new things, and so I guess corporate-wise, I think that GameStop is not doing very good, and they're actually in a lot of deep shit. That's what I found out, but I kind of didn't let that stuff get to me. All the lesson there was just make sure you sell pre-owned stuff, and man, did she bitch at me 100 times about that. Every time, like, if I was helping a customer and they told me no, they don't want to buy pre-owned, she'd get into the conversation. She'd be like, oh, did he offer you to get a pre-owned copy? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yes, I'm doing it right, like, back off. But whatever, they told him, like, I was doing a good job, this and that, but still. Now, my manager, honestly, wasn't the only stressful thing about working there. I think the whole system there was just totally fucked. The computer system is so dumb, dude. You have to hit, like, the only way to, like, get into certain programs is by doing a key sequence on the keyboard. Like, you don't just, like, use the mouse and shit. You have to use a key sequence, which is, you have to do, like, you gotta hit, like, tab and escape twice if you want to open up the menu, and then you gotta, it's so dumb. I didn't even learn it. But things like that stress me out on the computer. A lot of times the computer would say we had something when we really didn't have something. All the games weren't in order, this and that. And so those just little things stress me out. There was one time where we put a used game inside of a new game sleeve. I didn't do that. I watched it and I was like, I don't think that's cool. But you know what? Again, what am I gonna do? Question my manager so that I can get fired? Because I'm sorry, but I'm not about that getting fired life. So I was like, well, you know, whatever, Chris, just don't say anything about it. You didn't do it. Just back off. And now, while this is all happening, guess what? I'm still not getting shifts at my job. I got like freaking 2-3 shifts every 2 weeks. It was so dumb. And I was making minimum wage, which is like $8. So I was not making bank like I was at the freaking Harkins. So that was kind of depressing. Other secrets and stuff, there's not a whole lot. You know, we throw away games that aren't, you know, like selling, and like we have like overstock and stuff like that. Which is why a lot of people dumpster dive for our stuff, because literally, like, it's so easy to it's so easy to like just get something. I'm not saying do it, I'm just saying it's easy to go get shit from the garbage and resell it back. Like, it's really not that hard. Our policy was look at the disc, make sure it doesn't have like big scratches on it, make sure that it's resellable. That is it. We don't test out games to see if they work. As long as there's no big scratches on it, we're fine. They even buy fucking broken shit, like broken Xbox, like they buy that shit. So they don't buy it for a whole lot. I can't tell you how many times I was freaking cussed at by a customer because I only offered them a little money, like, which I don't get. I don't know why I'm being yelled at, because I don't make the prices. I just read them off the screen and I offer them to you. Why are you yelling at me? But I was like, you know what? I was like, Chris, this is the crap you gotta put up with. The only good thing that came out of it was I got a 15% off everything in the store. So I got Madden for like 55 bucks when it came out. That's with tax. So it took off like 10 bucks because it was like 65 with tax. So I was like, oh, cool, $55. So I took some time to myself and I said, you know what, Chris? You're getting no hours. You're always stressed out at work. You don't like anyone at work. Maybe because you only work with your freaking manager. So I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time to check a different profession. But anyways, guys, I hope you like this little story, this little gameplay as well. If you want my job, there's an open position at Gamestop right now. So go get it. But anyways, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up, share it to all your friends, share the channel to your friends. Let's try and get this 100 subs pretty soon. Next week, I got a couple of unboxings. I'm going to do a double unboxing in one day next Friday, because next Friday is Gears of War 4 and Mafia 3. And I got the special editions of both of those games. So next Friday, I'm going to do an unboxing of both of those, and they're going to go up on Friday. So, subscribe if you're not already so you can check out those videos. And I'm your boy Crispy. It's been lit, and we out.